What is going on? We have just finished week 1 of NFL football. What's going on? It is Coast Coast Podcast here, coming up with a week 1 NFL recap. First of all, boys, how did we enjoy this weekend? Can't go wrong. Am I right?
Terrible.
I mean, yeah. So some people might have.
Hey, besides the Niners, it was fantastic sitting on the couch watching football, bro. I was plopped on the couch for 10 hours. I did not move. It was awesome.
On God, can't go wrong. But I mean, you can't go wrong if Cam Newton's projected to be your quarterback week 3, according to some sources. But we'll see about that.
I'd rather have Ryan Fitzpatrick, bro.
That'd be sick. Jimmy G though.
Hey, Jimmy G, future Niner or future Cowboy.
I'm good. I'd rather have Cooper Rush.
We're gonna need a first, or we giving him up. But let's talk about some games. First and foremost, let's talk about this Bills-Rams game. I think the Bills came out as advertised in this game. We saw their two now star wide receivers in Stephon Diggs and Gabe Davis go absolutely off in this game. Josh Allen, nothing short of what he's been seen as. And the only consistent thing for the Rams was Cooper Kupp is still what he was just last season. Kind of taken away from this game, Carson, I'll ask you first. How confident are you in the Bills, really making a jump to a conclusion reaction? What do you think about the Bills now for this season?
The Bills looked fantastic. I think they, along with the Chiefs, were the two best teams of the first week. I probably maybe put like the Chargers at like not a distant third, but definitely a little space at third. We'll get to them, but the Bills looked incredible, man. I mean, them Chiefs did not miss a beat at all since the playoffs. Really like a big statement. The Rams, they're getting the rings, they're flying the banner. It's the home opener, it's SoFi, and the Bills just did not care. Mike Tomlin voice. We do not care, and they stuck it to them. And I think that's a really, really good statement to start the season, coming in against the defending champs. And Josh Allen, he's been doing his thing for the last couple of years, but he really, really, really looked like in control. I know he had a couple picks, but I mean, I don't really think those were all, his fault per se, kind of just like off the hands, whatever. But he looked incredible, slicing up a really, really good Rams defense. And as for the Rams, I mean, they have legit problems. I mean, no one else seemed to really be able to get open too much besides Kupp. Defense not looking as strong. And Stafford, man, I mean, I think that elbow might be like an actual real concern. We'll see. But I think bottom line is the Bills look really, 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 really good. And deserve to be, it seems like they deserve all the preseason hype as, one of, if not like the biggest. I mean, I think they were the odds-on favorite for conference Super Bowl. It makes sense after watching them on Thursday, man.
Yeah. I mean, Jose, I think Carson pretty much nailed it on the coffin. So I want to ask you about the team who was the runner-up in the Super Bowl, because Joe Burrow was bad on Sunday. 5 turnovers, 4 interceptions. Yeah. He had the most turnovers and sacked by a quarterback since Delvin Hodges in 2019. If you guys know anything about Delvin Hodges, he was like the 3rd string quarterback for the Steelers. It was terrible. And speaking of Steelers, they were playing the Steelers, and Minkah Fitzpatrick gave him an ass whooping. Mr. Trubisky came out and won his debut.
He was all over the field, bro.
Jamar Chase, still him. But when it comes down to it, Evan McPherson could not pull out those clutch genes. Jose, are you worried at all, or is Pittsburgh just going to continuously be that team to be a tough out?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of both. I mean, Pittsburgh is kind of like a bully team, especially for a division rival who now has obviously a huge target on their backs. I mean, this is a team who went from literally worst to first in a matter of 2-3 seasons. And I mean, this team, every franchise wants to replicate what the Bengals did. And I mean, they're coming for them. I mean, we saw the offseason. Every team, made moves. And I wouldn't be too worried. I mean, the Bengals, he still kind of pulled out a decent little air raid offense in the end. I mean, Jamar Chase was super productive. Joe Mixon was productive as well. I wouldn't be too worried. I think they'll come along. They'll figure out some of the kinks. Hopefully T. Higgins can come back soon, and they'll figure that stuff out.
Mm-hmm. Carson, Najee Harris honestly, they said they're going to take away a lot of snaps from him. Only 10 rushes for 2.3 yards, and then kind of was saved fantasy-wise by a touchdown off 2 receptions for 3 yards. Are you concerned that perhaps maybe the Steelers are looking to pass the ball a little bit more, or do you think Najee's still going to have those big fantasy relevant games?
I think Najee's too talented to not, break out and have some, games every now and then. But it is definitely looking very concerning for anyone that did draft him, especially, because he was going very, very high. I mean, more passing, they're taking away some reps. He already got banged up. I mean, it's looking like he's probably going to play against the Patriots next week. Reports came back, his injury wasn't as bad as people might have thought. But still, though, I mean, the offensive line is terrible. There's a lot of things working against Najee that, a lot of other running backs in his kind of, circle per se aren't having to deal with. So, yeah, it's definitely concerning. But I just want to say something about this game real quick. Man, there must have been some shots being taken before. Like, the last few moments it was just like watching some drunk heads, bro. Like, McPherson missing that extra point or getting blocked per se. It got blocked. Bad snap that could have won the game. Boswell with a doink. They got a doink and they still won, bro. That should not be allowed. That should not be allowed.
100%.
And then McPherson, bro, what was that at the end? Oh my gosh, it was like so far left. That was crazy. And this was the guy that was nailing playoff, winning field goals like literally a few months ago. And then we got this.
I seen it.
This dude watched the Super Bowl halftime instead of going into the locker room. And like, we know this man's got some swagger behind him, but
that was drunk, bro. That was fried.
Not a great start this season.
Anyways. Yeah.
But hey, I want to talk about a guy that Carson, maybe we got some truth with right now. A guy that you've been on for the start of his career. Dolphins with a 20-7 victory over the New England Patriots. Kind of the first question I want to pose to you is this more of an impressive win for the Dolphins, or do you think this is a bad sign for the Patriots? Because they did not look great.
Bad sign for the Patriots. The Patriots were looking terrible all camp. Mac Jones, I don't know what his back injury is, but that was reported. Not really sure, the details of that. But yeah, I mean, the Dolphins, I don't know. I feel like the Dolphins just could have beat them way more. It seemed like Waddle, Hill were always open. They should have really demolished the Patriots. And considering like all that the Patriots have done to the Dolphins over the last like 20 years, you would think like Dolphins would want to come out, Tyreek Hill, new weapons, new fancy offense to come out and stick it to them. But it's 27, so nothing crazy, a solid win, whatever. But Patriots definitely looking pretty bad, and I definitely don't see them being nowhere near as good as they were last year.
Yeah, Jose. What about this run game for the Dolphins? For a team getting one of the best run game coordinators in the NFL, in Mike McDaniel, they ran for 2.8 yards a carry on 23 carries, which that's not going to cut it. But what do we think?
That's the Dolphins' way, though. That's the Dolphins' way. Like, they're not going to run. They're not going to run very efficiently. They're going to, run when they can, get their, their 3 yards, their 4 yards, dump offs to Chase Edmonds or whatever. But it's not the Dolphins' way. It's a good thing that they have 2, good receivers on the outside, and Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle.
Yeah,
so
and
I think they'll be all right.
It's unfortunate because they also have 2 great offensive linemen, Teron Armstead and Connor Williams was apparently a PFF dog this week. The unfortunate thing, though, is they're starting right tackle. Austin Jackson is apparently have a potential serious injury, which who knows, because he's the blindside guy for Tua. So as being a right tackle over there.
Yeah, why don't they put Teron Armstead over there?
Because he's been a left tackle. So, I mean, it's hard.
But wouldn't that make more sense to put him on Tua's blind side?
I think it's a lot more tactical issue than we think, like just switching them over. Like, it's not that easy. I know, like Panay Sewell had a hard time at first, and like, especially as a veteran in Teron Armstead, like,
that's true.
Than it seems. We got to talk about Saquon. I mean, we're going to talk about him in a minute, but this Giants team under Brian Dable was able to win against, the number 1 seed in the AFC last year. But this team did not, bring a lot to be excited about. Jose, what are your thoughts about the Giants and just the Titans as well? Because both teams were interesting because I could see both of these teams being bottom feeders of their division despite the win by the Giants.
Yeah. It was so refreshing to see Saquon, running with some like authority. He was lowering his shoulder on guys, absolutely looking, unfazed by anything. And I mean, the burst was still there. Like he was hitting holes that weren't even there. I saw a play where he had a tight end pulling to the left, and the hole had not even opened yet, but he still hit it hard. And as soon as he got there, it just a little crease opened, and he was gone. Like just absolutely amazing patient running from Saquon. And if he stays healthy this season, man, it's finally time, bro. Like he's still in his prime. He's only like 25, 26.
Yep.
So it's really just up to, his knee health. But as far as the Titans, Derrick Henry might have zero PPR value. Like absolutely zero. I mean,
Dontrell Hilliard went off.
Yeah. Hilliard had 3 receptions for 60 yards and 2 touchdowns. And Henry was just, pure rush. He's like the Damian Harris of this team. Nothing else, just rushing.
Mm-hmm. No, yeah, I think we'll definitely still see a lot more bigger games from him, but the PPR value is concerning, to say the least. Robert Woods, though, only 2 catches. Carson, if Treylon Burks doesn't step up, where do you see this Titans team going?
Nowhere. I do not see them going. I completely agree with you what you said at the top of this. Like, Giants, great win. It was awesome seeing Saquon and everybody, kind of, latch on to Brian Dable for his first win. But I just still don't really see these teams really still going anywhere. But at least the Giants have a little bit more hope to me. But the Titans, yeah, I think, they go from the first seed last year, and they could be pretty bad. Because Woods, he's coming off that injury. You said Treylon Burks, if he doesn't do anything, I mean Henry, they're just gonna, everybody is just gonna be stacking the box against Henry because Tannehill is a guy that I think we've all, defended the last, couple of years. He's actually been a really solid quarterback for most of his tenure on the Titans, but I think those days are behind him, and he's not really going to be the guy that we're used to seeing because it's going to be tough for him, lack of, solid receivers. And then if Henry's not Henry, then what is this team? Like that's been their identity the last couple of years. Like Tannehill, solid on play action, decent quarterback. Henry's killing it, and their defense is really solid. But when you take away Henry, like kind of the heart and soul of your team, it's like what's really left for the Titans?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
exactly. And it just doesn't for the Titans. It doesn't bode well because they lost their top pass rusher in Harold Landry for the entire season. Caleb Farley was this guy that was projected to come in and be, an impact starter right away. And it's looking like he's on the Jeff Okudah path, which shout out Jeff Okudah, though. He played a great game on Devontae Smith, held him to 0 catches, but it's not looking good out there for Tennessee because they're in that weird territory like you see in the NBA where you're a mediocre team, where if you don't lose enough, you're not going to get the draft pick you need. So we'll see there. Move on, just a couple more games to talk on. A player we got to talk on that we've all been high on. And the Packers didn't put their best goddamn corner on him for the whole game because they think he's got too much of an ego problem. But Justin Jefferson torched those division rival Packers. Aaron Rodgers looked terrible. It was just not a good overall game. But what's the limit for Justin Jefferson, Jose?
fucking the moon, bro. Literally. 11 targets, bro. 11 targets. A career high in yards in his first game. His literal first game of the season. Like, it's ridiculous. There was no one else on this team that really did anything. I mean, Dalvin Cook was all right, but Adam Thielen had 3 catches. Everyone else was under, 3 or under. Justin Jefferson is this entire offense. Like, it's insane. It's absolutely insane. Like, he had a Devontae Adams performance from last year. Literally.
100%. Or Cooper Kupp performance, Same thing.
Yeah.
Same thing. Carson, let's take a look at the Green Bay side. Obviously, they're saying Aaron Rodgers already in midseason form with the eye roll and the frustration. I mean, his top receiver was A.J. Dillon, which no disrespect to A.J. Dillon, but that's not the kind of player you want to be your top receiver. Like Christian Watson, I remember texting the group chat, dropped a wide open touchdown pass. They just don't have a guy that they can go to. Like it just doesn't, like Robert Tonyan, coming off an injury. If it was a couple of years ago, I had a little bit more faith, but it's like if they can't pound the ball in the run game, what are they going to do? And I don't know. Talking a little bit about the Packers.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to completely write off the Packers just yet. I think they will be, definitely a little bit better, come second half once Rodgers has time to, develop that chemistry with, a bunch of new receivers. But yeah, it was looking rough out there, man. They just really, really struggled to move the ball. Shout out Zadarius Smith on the Vikings now. He was really getting after it, obviously playing with a lot of heart considering he's playing against his old team. But yeah, Rodgers just didn't play well. They really, really, really struggled, like I said, to move the ball. Jones was okay. Dylan was really their whole offense. Like you said, Liam, he was a beast. But, the Packers end up being, really mediocre this year. I think that first play of the game with Watson dropping that wide open touchdown would just be like the thesis statement, like the epitome of, this season for the Packers, like the kind of the worst nightmare for them coming into this season that Rodgers just, won't be able to figure it out with his receivers. But I'm not going to write them off just yet. They still have a really good defense. Bakhtiari's coming back. That they clearly missed him a lot this game. That's for sure. And but still, I mean, I think the receivers that's just something that Rodgers just has to work through. I mean, you got to just stop rolling your eyes and you just gotta try and get better. I don't think they're gonna keep playing this bad, but definitely their ceiling does not look. It definitely does not look as high as the last 3 years for sure. Yeah. Definitely looks much lower.
And if he's trying to push this narrative that he's the greatest of all time, he's got to show that, Tom Brady in his last season in New England had zero help. And, they fell short in the playoffs in the opening round. Aaron Rodgers needs to go out there and show that, hey, I didn't have any other weapons and I would still be able to be successful. And like you said, he's got a top 5 defense. It's absolutely nasty. They got all pro caliber players on every level of this defense. With Campbell at linebacker, a guy like Kenny Clark and Rashawn Gary on the D-line, and Jair Alexander, Darnell Savage, Adrian Amos, and a couple other dogs. They got the best, probably 3-corner group in the NFL, crazy enough. So we'll see.
Wait, real quick, I want to say, I forgot to mention this real quick. Another reason why I'm not really going to wrap the Packers is because the rest of the NFC did not look that good either. I mean, you look at the AFC, it's like the Bills looked incredible. Like the Chiefs looked incredible. Chargers looked really good. But you look at the NFC, who really played that well this week? I mean, the Cardinals got destroyed. We don't have to talk about the Cowboys. The Bucs did not look strong at all.
Niners got destroyed by
the Niners are looking really, really bad. I mean,
the Eagles won by 3 against the Lions.
Yeah, exactly. Like, good offense or whatever. But yeah, exactly. They barely beat them. The Rams got cooked. So it's like, it's still, I mean, the best NFC team was the Vikings. And do we really think the Vikings are going to make it to the Super Bowl, like with Kirk Cousins? It's still so wide open in the NFC that it's like, at the end of the day, it's Rodgers. But still, like, it's just, that was probably the biggest theme for me from the weekend was like the NFC just looked really, really bad. Like really bad.
Mm-hmm. All right, so we're just gonna do some rapid fire ones just to kind of end it off. Jose, the Chiefs put on an absolute clinic against the Cardinals. Made this team look like a JV team out there essentially. Looking at this Chiefs team, are you putting them higher than the Bills, or is it like what do you put those teams? You have to put one at 1 and the other at 2 today. What do you?
I think it's kind of hard to say, which one's 1 or which one's 2. I definitely say they're both in the first tier of teams. If I had to take an offense versus an offense, I think I would still take the Bills. But I mean, I just can't really doubt Mahomes like that, especially in big time plays or big time moments like that. So the Chiefs made a statement game. Mahomes showed that he can, he doesn't need Tyreek Hill. He can still ball out with Kelsey and Isaiah Pacheco if he needs to. So.
Yeah, doesn't matter.
Absolute statement game from the Chiefs.
Yeah, and I think Mahomes is like one of the least blitz quarterbacks in the NFL. They blitzed him over 50% of the time. And if you don't know anything about that, Mahomes is one of the greatest quarterbacks essentially of all time when it comes to being under pressure like that. He's like 27-4 in his career, like touchdown to interception ratio. Don't blitz Mahomes because he can move around inside the pocket, accuracy, all that stuff. That's what it's all about. And nice seeing some new weapons out there in Kansas City. A little change of pace. Carson, let's talk real quick about the Chargers in the Raiders game. Not a great performance by the Raiders at all. Derek Carr played very poor. Had 2 fumbles, but didn't lose any of them, but 3 interceptions as well. This Chargers team, I know we're all high on. What are your thoughts after this first game?
My thoughts are that I the Chargers up there with the Chiefs and the Bills just yet, even though I thought the defense looked really, really good. I mean, holding, a really potent Raiders offense to, under 20, I think is very impressive. But the reason I don't put them up there with those 2 other teams is that, like, they really should have, really stuck it to the Raiders. The fact that they let the Raiders kind of hang in there and claw in and keep it close and, potentially, take over this game late. They ended up not doing it, but still, it shouldn't have been as close. But I mean, Herbert looks fantastic. The defense, Khalil Mack really stepped up against his old team. That was really cool to see. Yes, you talk about him, bro. Talk about him.
Get that sack. He's just all over the place. I mean, when he's healthy, he's the best safety in the NFL. It's hard to not want to go against that point. Because there's not many other safeties that can move around the field and be dynamic in so many places as he is. You could put him at edge probably, and he could do some work. I think he's kind of in that category of a Micah Parsons to where they can just impact the game on so many levels. It's insane. Crazy to see. Shout out to Asante Samuel Jr. though. Got his
yes.
I forgot Bryce Callahan's on this roster. He's one of the best slot corners in the NFL. Shout out to this team. And they didn't even
had a good game too.
JC Jackson would have been putting in some work on Devontae. I mean, Devontae going to get his, but JC Jackson is probably the second best corner in the NFL when he's healthy. So, Mr. INT. But
their defense looked really good.
Otherwise, none of the other games this week were kind of too eye-popping. I mean, we got a tie to start the season off.
No one wanted to win that game, bro.
No.
There's always a tie, though. There's always one tie.
And
shout out Lamar. I mean, it's the Jets, but Lamar looked awesome.
Yeah.
Always love to see it.
We'll get into the Ravens in a second. And then Seahawks upset Russ just a couple minutes ago as we're recording this. Not too surprised, though, because it's at what's it called? Seahawks territory. They were aggressive towards that guy. The 12 better than 3 meme was hella funny. They're holding the signs up. But nonetheless, though, let's dig into this first. Week 1 team of the week in fantasy. Just looking at the regular standard PPR lineup that you would bring. QB1, Patrick Mahomes. Just talked about him. RB1, Saquon Barkley. RB2, Jonathan Taylor. And then our wide receiver 1 and wide receiver 2, they probably finished in these positions a million times last year. Justin Jefferson, up alike. Tight end Travis Kelce, Devontae Adams, the flex. Defensive special teams, we got the Steelers absolutely dominating the Bengals, and kicker, one of the most loved guys in the league, Younghoe Koo. And then bring that total to 263.2 on the season. Honestly, not those big 300-point games that we see sometimes, but it'll come. And then look at some bust of the week, guys that went way below their average projected. Mike Williams with just 3 points. He's going to get his own, though. I know Keenan Allen got a little banged up during that game. Cam Akers, 0 points. A lot of fantasy managers mad about that. Aaron Rodgers, like we said, 3.7 points, not a good game. Kamara is a little concerning, 7.6 points, because this team likes to throw the ball downfield with Jameis. Derrick Henry, like we said, in standard, he's that guy, but in PPR, maybe not, 8.2 points. And CeeDee Lamb, now without his quarterback, 4.9 points. It's not going to be pretty out there in Dallas. And we'll see who the signal caller is in these next couple of weeks. But